Well, let's see web pages in action through a series of demos. In this demonstration, we're going to see how to create a website using web pages technology. And in this case, it literally means we're going to create in Visual Studio a new website. We'll also examine the folder structure, look at the key files that represent web pages technology, and finally, we're going to view a page and see it all in action. I've just opened Visual Studio 2015. To create my web pages website, I will select File, New, and notice while all the other technologies start with creating a new project, with web pages, we will choose New Website. It's also interesting to note that the term web pages is not reflected anywhere in these templates. But to use web pages exclusively, we will choose ASP.NET Web Site Razor v3. Note on the left side in the navigation tree, I'm under Templates, Visual C#, and I've made my selection. Also worthy of noting down below is that instead of putting this into a projects folder, Visual Studio is choosing to put this in a websites folder. I will rename this website to Demo Web Pages and keep that default location. I will also keep this as a file system web location. Visual Studio has completed loading the website. Now let's take a look at the key files. First, we'll look at an actual page, such as about.cshtml. Notice the razor syntax at the top of the page, indicating what the layout should be. In this case, referring to the root directory folder of the website, _site layout.cshtml, and consider the title for this page, About. We also see the razor syntax in the header 1 tag where it's asking for page.title. This extra period here is actually literal text, which I'll just delete. When line 7 is processed, it will replace page.title with whatever we selected the title be on line 3. Let's take a look at that site layout file. This file represents all the content we want repeated for every page that uses this layout. That means everything that is in the head section will also be in the head section of any page that uses this layout. Line 50 is where the actual body of the page gets processed. In other words, this on line 50 gets replaced with the contents of this file about.cshtml. The theming is accomplished through, of course, CSS, which is found in the content folder. The _app start.cshtml is initialized on the first request to the website. In this example, it's initializing a database for authentication and is allowing for tables to be created. We'll be interacting with that database in an upcoming demo. Let's return to the About page and view it in the browser. I just froze time so that we can really look at what's in this output window. Notice it says it's validating the website. Even though we're quote-unquote building the website, this is really proof that it's just merely validating it as it's using a dynamic compilation model. We can see that the request was made, and at the top, if I were to remove the .cshtml and just hit About, it still works because it supports friendly URLs.